Hey guys, so Jordan Thompson, Ben Shelton, that's what we're going to be watching. It's the second quarterfinal of the day on the Dallas Center Court, of course. I don't think we have Miles there anymore, but on the past couple of days, you could sort of check out the content that he was there producing. Oh, Miles is still there? Oh, I remember him saying that it was just until Sunday evening, really? Didn't he say that it was Wednesday, Thursday? Or maybe that was when he was getting there, Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe I just misunderstood him then. So actually, we still have Miles there, apparently. And I think with Ben Shelton, you've already had some content that you could have checked out. Whereas with Jordan Thompson, I don't think so, but maybe today if he beats Ben Shelton. But with Ben, I think there was some talk about like the serve work that he's been doing since the Australian Open, which is an interesting case for sure, since of course Ben Shelton's serve is like one of the best shots in the game, but then again, is it? And it certainly could use some refinement in terms of the placement, the spot serving, maybe even the decision making overall. In fact, I wonder if maybe Jordan Thompson doesn't hold serve more than Ben Shelton. This literally just came to me. I don't know, and I'm gonna check, but it's possible. Like Jordan Thompson actually could be more effective on serve than Ben Shelton, despite the speed difference, despite the you know obvious values, the obvious qualities of the Shelton serve. But of course, that's something we might be mentioning, for the whole duration of this match, really, depending on how this is going to be going. Um, so Jordan Thompson is actually, yes, as I thought, he actually does hold serve more often than Ben Shelton, which is pretty crazy, but that's true. 0.7%, so it's a very slim edge, let's say that. Anyway, I'm going to talk about the head-to-head in a second. Also, because they're just turning up, by the way, Shelton about to serve. And an interesting storyline to follow today, throughout the day in Dallas, is that last week we had the top four seeds into the semifinals of Montpellier. This week we have top four seeds into the semifinals in Marseille. And actually in Dallas, we might also get the very same situation if it's Tiafoe, if it's Shelton, if it's Paul, and if it's Manarino. Of course, so far only one part of that plan has been fulfilled, and all of these events, by the way, have 28 player draws, so it is slightly easier for the top four seeds to do it. But still, during the whole 2023 season, there were only 3 events like this, so it's still pretty huge. And especially if we can get more in Dallas, and all the top four seeds are favorites of their matches. I think Manarino can lose to Daki. It's possible. I also think that well, Marcos Giron is so good in Dallas, but can he actually beat Tiafoe? Like, is that Dallas magic gonna extend itself to that sort of point? I don't know. And this is a very close match to me. Jordan Thompson, Ben Shelton, and honestly, these serve stats that I sort of brought up at the very beginning, like legit, that's part of why, just the fact that Ben is still a little wild and Jordan Thompson has improved so much, especially in terms of his first serve. He's also a pretty good like fast court grinder, right? He loves the grass, he loves the indoor courts, and probably should be able to make Ben hit quite a lot of balls today. And if he can sort of mix that up with the very good service game that we know he has, who knows? It's a quick court as well. We should have some very good pace. Shelton, in fact, wins the first game in like a minute, finishing it off with this forehand drop shot. So we are sort of underway officially now. Miles watching, apparently, in Dallas. Terry, what did Monfils do? Yeah, that's pretty unclear. I mean, apparently he just behaved in a way that wasn't okay towards the supervisor. But that's all we know, really. But it's really weird that they would disqualify him from that event. After all, it is an exhibition. Like, it is an event no one cares about. So like, what could he have done in order to like guarantee to like warrant this, right, to a supervisor? Um, it could also be like a total, made up thing just in order to sort of create engagement, if you may. But I don't know if Monfils would go for it. Like, this is something that people will be asking him about, right? And this is something that people will be at least mentioning for, let's say, a few weeks, a few months in regards to him. So I don't know if he would want that, really. But of course, it is, after all, still the ultimate tennis showdown. I did not watch a ball from that this time. I maybe saw a bit of the first 2 or 3 editions, but after that, it's just really pointless in a week where we have so much tournament action. Free challengers, free ATP Tour events, 2 WTA Tour events. Like, yeah, the last thing I want is watching Ultimate Tennis Showdown with some very weird rules and no stakes virtually. Anyway, let's see what Jordan Thompson can cook up in his game, and it's actually a very entertaining rally already. This is some of that chipping and grinding that Jordan Thompson can do in even quicker conditions. It actually takes a lot of skill to do it. I think Thompson has done very well to sort of break out of that stereotype of a vulture, who was just getting points around the world in like Asian, Australian, American challengers to stay in the top 100 and play slams. He's actually turned himself into a real main tour force. And part of that is definitely that skill of his to actually, let's say, diffuse the attacking attempts of another player despite faster conditions, and maybe sometimes even is helped out by them. The forehand definitely looks a lot less wonky when the surface helps out. And that's a sensational lob from him as well. Ben Shelton sort of going for a saber-like play, if you may, just rushing on the second serve return, even though it wasn't like a big return per se. It was more so, taken early and pushed over to the other side of the court. And Thompson came up with this very good soft lob. I can say Fischer. I don't know if if maybe I just signed a pact with the devil or something. If that's a trick task for me to do. But I can say Fischer. Yeah. Anyway, Jordan Thompson 40 love up now after a couple of pretty entertaining rallies. One of them he won with this redrop, then the lob, and now he wins another one with a pretty sick net court. it bounced, it came back to them again to hit the net, and then fell on the Shelton side of the court. So we are at 1-game-all. And by the way, I mentioned that I was going to talk about the head-to-head, so maybe let me do it now. So Ben leads it 2-0. It's not 1-0 if you read the ATP whatever, because yes, there's been a challenger match between them as well in 2022 in Chicago. And actually, both wins over Jordan Thompson have been pretty important for Ben. Chicago, I remember that was a quarterfinal, and it was a pretty big deal because Jordan Thompson was like the top seed at that event. Eventually, Ben ends up making the final. He lost to Roman Safiullin, I think maybe even from a breakup in the third. But it was right before he had that amazing, 3-week stretch of winning challengers. And also, I think right before... I think this is right before Cincinnati, even, for example. So yeah, it was very important for Ben for sure. And also the last match was in Tokyo last year, so where Ben won his first ATP Tour title, and of course to this day the only ATP Tour title. And that was also a pretty tough match between them. So perhaps not as sort of memorable, perhaps not as thrilling, perhaps not as exciting as that Marcos Giron semi was, where Shelton was really, down bad and somehow got out of it. But still, he was down a set, he manages to win and eventually claims the title. So actually 2 very important matches, I think, for the development of Ben's career. Especially that Chicago one in the quarters. I remember it having a brilliant tiebreak, which was like 14-12 in the opener. And at the time, the feeling of that match was very different. Of course, Jordan was the favorite, but you kind of felt that, okay, so Shelton, he's a very exciting, talented player. Maybe he can snatch it. Like that was why you were watching it, just to see if Shelton will actually stand a chance and potentially not to miss a big upset. Whereas right now, the big upset would be if Thompson won. But then again, yeah, I mean, if he just keeps up with Shelton on serve, why not? And so far, 7 minutes, 3 very quick holds. We're going to see that a lot in this match, for sure. Was Ben's 28 service points a record? So did he win 28 service points in a row? I actually don't know, but that's definitely not a record. I remember Federer against Lachko at Wimbledon, for example, hitting 35-ish. a few years ago. I think it was 2018. I also don't think that's a record, but it's definitely not. Then 28 definitely can't be a record. I'll maybe try to Google that Feder Lachko thing and see if maybe someone, yeah, 35, that was true, but I wonder if that's a record of any sorts. That I actually don't know, but then Ben's 28 can't be a record. I guess you're talking about Shelton against Michael Moe, then, I suppose. The opening round. I didn't watch that. That was pretty late for me. Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, 4-4-4. Basically, didn't drop a point on the second serve on serve in the second set, and also was pretty massive in the opener, I guess. Yeah, 28. And today, has he dropped a point on serve already? I don't actually know. But it's pretty impressive for someone like Ben, I think, because he is a bit wild. Like, as we said, the serve game can be more effective still. No, actually, he still hasn't dropped any point on serve so far. So, and yeah, he actually still has that streak of 36 by now. So let's thank you for alerting me to this, and we're gonna see if that holds up in the next game as well. But that's a pretty exciting one. 28 against Michael Moe, and now against Jordan Thompson, he's already on 8. Who do you think wins Marseille? Top 4 seeds in the semis. It's pretty tough. I think Hurkacz seems to love these cards, but he has a pretty awful record against Dimitrov, so I would say Dimitrov might be actually the main favorite. Dimitrov should like his chances against Kachanov because he, of course, has that great slice, and Kachanov has historically been, it's been pretty tough for him to handle players like this with the extreme forehand grip. So I would say Dimitrov is probably the favorite to sort of just manage to dismantle the Kachanov power game, I guess. If it comes to that, like if he cannot really, beat him aggressively. And then again, Dimitrov actually has a very good record against everyone remaining in the field. He hasn't lost to Hurkacz, Kachanov, or Umber yet. He's 9-0 combined against them. So maybe Dimitrov is actually the favorite. But yeah, Hurkacz also a solid bet, of course, the defending champion. And he turns 27, I think, on Sunday. So it would be a great birthday present for him if he was able to. If he was able to lock up that title and defend his title, get to number 7 as well in the rankings. But all in all, yeah, I would say if I have to name one guy, maybe Dimitrov, just because of how good he's usually against these guys. I think against Hurkacz it's more of a random thing that he's 4-0. Like a lot of that was on tie breaks, But against Kachanov, there are actually some issues to me. Typed in Shelton Moe in the Twitter search and it says 26, but I think that was 28 just with what I was counting now. Indeed, so it would be 36 by now, I believe. But anyway, looks like Thompson is also going to hold pretty comfortably, and then we're going to see if Ben can maintain that win streak of points on serve. Which, especially if you go in 2 different matches, that would be pretty impressive. But yeah, someone on Twitter said it was 26, but it's definitely 28. Yes, it was 6 games basically 7 games in a row, with the sort of caveat that the first game was actually love 15, so it wasn't actually 2 love, but it was 4 points in a row anyway. So 28 and now 8 right now. Ben is on 36. Anyway, let's see if this Thompson game can get tricky though, as we are now at 40-30. Shelton using that athleticism, the good footwork that he has to track down some balls. But it's a great point from Thompson, actually. Eventually comes in after that backhand down the line. And there's nothing you can do about that volley. It's definitely always good to see Shelton playing like this, like actually using the speed, the athleticism, the footwork that he has to, just make the opponent play a bit more and not be an unforced error sort of counter machine. But it's also just a great example of Thompson and his point construction in indoor conditions when his shots get that pop from the surface. Second serve now, so Ben's streak could end with a double fault. It's possible. It's not a double fault though. It isn't backhand unforced error, so we have the streak is over. Goes to the net, and it seems that Thompson will be able to pass him, sort of goes at him and says sorry, but doesn't seem like Ben was, caring about it too much anyway. But it is love 30 now, so after that long streak, maybe we'll also get the first break points against Shelton all tournament, or the first break even. And now he'll have to be, very precise, play a lot more composed. Let's see if Thompson can make him miss. Not really, but it still required some pretty good sort of wrist-heavy forehands from Shelton to win this point. First, a couple of inside outs. Then he actually switches it up to just a regular cross when he gets that shorter ball from Thompson. But yeah, I mean that's how he has to play right now. With a little more clarity, with a little more just patience, and try to get out of that low 30 unscarred. Of course, a big serve like this will help. And Thompson almost makes a ridiculous shot. I thought Ben did very well here to wait for the stroke a bit, delay that +1 backhand, and just get it, make sure that it is into the court. But Thompson was just a rocket. I mean, he was sprinting so fast into the other corner that he almost made this forehand pass. If he didn't, that would have been a sensational shot. But now it seems like Shelton will be out of the woods 40-30. That's interesting. Someone on my Twitter just commented, Ben seems injured now. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen anything like it, to be honest, but maybe I just haven't paid attention too much. Shelton will win. A few comments in the chat. Ghosty is there. Beyonce has more platinum records than Mozart. Well, they weren't selling too much in the Mozart days, international trade. It's also pretty hard to find a quintessential record of Mozart, right? There are so many different compilations, and that doesn't really help you in regards to getting platinum records. I think that actually is a big deal. That's a great angle on the +1 backhand from Shelton, but I think that actually is a big deal as well, in that there's no obvious golden sort of collection, the greatest hits of Mozart, right? That everyone will be buying. It's not like Abba's Gold, for example, or whatever. And I don't know what the quintessential album of Beyonce is either, but I think Mozart does have a few issues in this comparison that aren't really sort of related to him. I wouldn't be surprised if Manarino wins the Dallas title. Let's look at the draw. Paul, Shelton, Tiafoe, Manarino. Like, honestly, by this point, I wouldn't be surprised with any of these players winning the title. I think it's very evenly matched. Like, if you think of Tiafoe, Manarino, Shelton, honestly, even Thompson to me, and also Paul, like, they are so close to one another. Maybe Duckworth would be a little surprising, despite his great form to start the year. Marcos Giron, probably a bit of a surprise as well. But the other five, to me, are very, very close. Yeah, maybe I'm excusing Mozart a little bit, but of course it's not only about Mozart, it's basically about any classical music composer. Like, I wonder if we actually just, because platinum records, as you said, yes, but if we just totaled sort of the amount of sales, also not look at like Spotify, YouTube, or whatever they use these days to count this, just look at legit sales. I don't know, but of course that's a topic for another day, maybe. Anyway, no one, I guess, is talking in the chat about that injury of Shelton, which I don't know what it would be, but someone on my Twitter commented that, so I don't know. Maybe he was watching more carefully and saw him limp or whatever, or have some sort of a grimace. But yeah, I haven't seen anything so far anyway, so I don't want to give merit to that claim. Anyway, Jordan Thompson serving at 2-3 down. Shelton going for this deep return, but he can't make it. Someone else on Twitter is also saying something about the injury of Shelton, but I don't really know what that is anyway. So I guess it's not just one person, but it doesn't seem to be affecting his game anyway. And also, when it comes to that Monfils UTS story of him getting disqualified for talking to an umpire, so my friend is there, and actually he sort of explains what's going on. So apparently Monfils was not allowed to use his bonus card. They have this weird set of rules, as the time on that quarter expired, and then he started complaining to the umpire, to the officials, and it went on for like 10 minutes, but apparently it didn't seem to like be escalated into anything crazy. However, maybe then backstage there was more of more discussion about it, and he maybe said something. I mean, I don't know, but apparently it's related to, well, at least the guy who is there, he seems to think that it is related to that incident. I know. I mean, he's crazy to even be in the crowd there, right? But he is from Norway, so I think that's explainable. Like, we can say, okay, you're justified. Like, you're actually excused. But in general, yeah, better just not to care about that event. Anyway, Jordan Thompson, pretty big serve, 3 games all so far. Just speed running through their service games. Both guys are. Yeah, apparently there was some tape as well on Shelton. Vanch has just sent that to me when he pulled up his shirt. But I mean, let's not maybe freak out about it, since I mean it really hasn't been affecting his tennis at all. Yeah, I'm just not even gonna look at it now. Let's just watch the match. Anyway, 15 love up now. Shelton, he's covering the court. Okay, he's absolutely playing fine. It's a great forehand cross counter, and he manages to get the point as well. So far, pretty patient of the ground too. Like it's not just that. Oh, actually, no, sorry, he missed that. Apparently, no, I thought he won the point. I thought it was a very deep shot, but apparently it was just out. But anyway, yeah, so far definitely a lot more patient than sometimes we're used to seeing from him when it comes to the defensive play and like how he's approaching the points when he's not instantly dominating. The serve, of course, has been giving him a lot too, and so it has for Jordan Thompson. I mean, this was always bound to be a very serve-oriented matchup. As I said at the very beginning of the stream, it's kind of wild to think about Jordan Thompson actually holding serve more times than Ben Shelton, but that's been the case the last 52 weeks or so. So it is very close anyway, and we do expect a lot of simple holds from either player here. Yeah, Alex, if you're asking about me, basically I've been to like out of major events, I've only been to Marseille and Warsaw twice on the WT side, but like I'm traveling to like 7, 8 challengers a year usually, and that's my main focus. But yeah, I've been to, let's say, about 30 maybe tennis events live. Uh, I don't know if that's actually true. At least 20. I think it might be getting up to 30 by now. Anyway, Ben Shelton for free up. Of course, my traveling is somewhat limited to events in Europe, but as John is talking about in the chat, Miles is actually in Dallas, so we do have a member of the Talking Tennis team in Dallas this week, and you can get some content on our channel. Which, of course, if you subscribe to it, it's going to be easier to find. I think you can also get that content on Miles's Twitter, so also follow him there. Yeah, for free and serve. You can see the screen, the score on the screen right now, as we were still showing some names, I guess, from Buenos Aires earlier. But yeah, for free so far. Let me maybe look at some stats, but I don't think we're going to find anything interesting really. Also, of course, at the same time, we've got Cordoba action. Bagnis up a set on Munar. Darderi up a set on Hanfman. That's, I think, both the quarterfinals already, right? Because earlier in the day, there were some second round matches that had to be finished, but I think by now this is all quarterfinals. Darderi about to have a phenomenal win run, it seems, because he's a double breakup in the second set now. This will really help his top 100 quest, as this semifinal win would put him maybe around, 40 points away. Basically, he's going to play for his top 100 debut on tomorrow, on Saturday, I think. I actually have to look up if that's going to be guaranteed or not, but yeah, it's an amazing run for Darderi, who actually has all his ATP Tour wins in Cordoba, won last year, and it seems that now he might have 3 this year. And that's actually a sensational deep forehand from Shelton. I know a couple of games ago, actually just last game, I was saying that this was a great point, and eventually it turned out that it was out. But this time I'm pretty sure that this forehand counter down the line finds the court. There's nothing that Jordan Thompson can do about it. He thought he was in attack, but suddenly there's that big strike and 15-all. Let's see if Shelton can make this game interesting. Oh, that was well, that was surely interesting. I don't really know what happened, but Shelton was trying to slap this forehand return of the Thompson second serve, and he just missed the ball entirely. Just whiffed it fully and did not even make contact with it. Well, happens. And yeah, now we have another one of these rallies where like Thompson is trying to be a little more active off the ground, but when Shelton is playing with this much, just patience, focus of the ground, it's really hard to hit through him, and he manages to get this great point in here. This forehand cross that he barely got, it actually had some nice angle on it, and then he gets a short ball from Jordan Thompson, steps around it, inside out forehand, clean keel, 30-all. And I mean, so far, it's definitely been Shelton producing most of the action in this match. And yeah, just asking more questions of the Australian. They haven't amounted to much, but now that we are at 30-all, who knows? One more point, and we might actually have some key moments of the open air. But as I said a few times already, kind of gotta like how Shelton is playing off the ground so far. It's the more just thinking version of Shelton, if you may. Not the bowler who comes out and just blasts everything, which is fine when it works, but not when it doesn't. And so far, he's been a very good mix of his best abilities. But Thompson gets a good first serve in, and he now has a chance to get us back to 4-all. And I think that's an ace as well. So indeed, we are at square one, 8 games, but we haven't actually learned all that much. They have the Jaume Munar score. Jaume Munar's score is he has gone down 5-7. He lost the opening set, and they are just starting the second one. Is Buenos Aires draw out? John says Terry. I think Rotterdam has released its draw, but I haven't seen one for Buenos Aires. Yeah. Buenos Aires hasn't released it. I can check when it will be out, maybe. Do they say here? Yeah. So it's actually tomorrow in Buenos Aires, and it's 3:30 p.m. local time. So no, it's not going to be out today. Rotterdam has released its draw, I believe, but not Buenos Aires yet. I don't know if there's anything that interesting to talk about sort of already there. Hurka Szlachecka, round one, Rusuvori, Umber, sorry. There's a lot of high quality, obviously, as usual in these ATP 250s these days. But yeah, the Minor Korda, Safiulin Rune, these are probably the main ones, right? And Sinner facing Botic van de Zandschulp again, just like in the first round of the Australian Open. Of course, it wasn't easy. It wasn't too hard for him there. Hello, Nurlan. Very glad to see you as usual. Ben Shelton with another quick hold. Yes, indeed. 5-4. really not that much happening so far. But if anyone has been stirring up things, it's been Shelton for sure. Like he's been the more dominant force on serve, although just slightly, because I think it's literally they've lost the same amount of points. It's just that his has sort of felt more meaningful, especially in that last game. But otherwise, like, yeah, it's just maybe he's more just capable of playing both good offense and defense. Thompson, and on the offense, he can be a little like wishy-washy sometimes, maybe. Just has the bigger weaponry, Shelton, obviously, off the ground, and on the serve, maybe it's slightly comparable, despite the difference in speed. But yeah, it's tight, of course, and that's, I guess, the main idea for this match as well, for Thompson, to just keep it like that and see if something pops up, if he can keep pressuring Shelton just by playing him close. What happened with Jerzy Janowicz? He's not going to be playing anymore, probably. I mean, right now he's actually playing padel fairly competitively. He played like the European Games last year, and he hasn't retired officially. However, he considers himself done with tennis. I'm actually a little frustrated about it, because he gave up very quickly, and he gave up after the clay season, where, like, I was always waiting, what will he do in the indoor season? What did he do in the indoor swing? And he gave up after a clay match in super slow conditions. And I was like, I mean, it just wasn't a good setting for him, to do well. So I don't think he should be basing his decisions on that particular match against Jan Choinski in super slow conditions, evening in Szczecin. Yeah, I mean, I remember watching like 2 games of that match and thinking, no, I mean, Janovic is not going to win it. Absolutely no. It's impossible. But just switch it off. Just go to the indoor season and see what you can produce there. But he never did that, so it's a little disappointing. But after all, I mean, he's had a very weird career with a lot of stops and starts. So, but yeah, it's highly likely that this is the last time we saw Janovic on court. Even if he's not officially retired, he just said that he doesn't really feel any, benefits in that, and I guess that's true. Shelton tries to approach the net here with the slice, but he just gives so much time to Thompson, who doesn't even have to, go for a big time angle. Pretty much anything will work, and indeed it does, as he goes up 30 love. Yeah, so far both players just 4 points lost on serve. Shelton has had one more game, at least on paper, but Thompson is close to cruising to a halt, so goes the in awe of the Tommy Paul performance earlier against Dominic Kepfer. It was pretty good. I mean, to handle Kepfer like this, it is a very good feat, I would say. And of course, yeah, he is in it to win it in this event, just like most of these players left are. But anyway, that is 5 years old. So after 5 games each on serve, both Thompson and Shelton have only lost 4 points so far. And I checked, and in case someone was interested, I actually don't know if anyone's interested, but well, whatever. If you're not, you're just gonna have to listen to me talking about it anyway. But indeed, Luciano Darderi will be playing for a top 100 debut tomorrow if he beats Hanfman from this position. And well, he is very likely to do it, since he is currently 7-6, 3-1 up, and also 2 more breakpoints. So if he indeed manages to take it, then he is playing for a top 100 debut tomorrow. And I think that would be against Diaz Acosta or Baez. Anyway, let's see, because now Shelton lost his first service point of the 11th game, and it's also a second serve. He was actually down low 30 in this match, which kind of, it's easy to forget about it with how serve based it's been. Slicing a lot of shots into the Thompson forehand, who will not produce any power out of it, but he also won't miss easily, at least. It's a great forehand drop shot from Shelton. I really like this play here. He's really playing some smart tennis off the ground, like the way he was slicing into the Thompson forehand, which, as I said, I mean, he's not going to miss with it really. However, he's not going to generate any power. Like, he's just going to push it over the net. And then Shelton gets a ball he's going to be comfortable with. He cracks the forehand and then drop shots. Like, it's really some very smart tennis, which is surprising. Like, I'm mostly mentioning that because that's not something you get from Ben Shelton very often. But yeah, today he's played with that sort of collected approach of the ground, especially, and it's not exactly keeping him in it so far, because what's keeping him in it is mostly the serve still. But he's been able to win quite a few rallies. You know, he wins 2 points like this in the tiebreak, and he's gonna win it if that happens. You know, if he can find 2 points like this in a tiebreak, we'll see if that actually, we'll see if that actually is going to take place. Also, we might still not get the tiebreak. I mean, who knows? And that's a net card from Shelton to give him the 6-5 game. So one more opportunity for him to break, and if not, then we will have a first set tiebreak. What happened with Monfils? So Ben Rothenberg, with him getting disqualified. So he got disqualified for some inappropriate behavior towards the supervisor. What exactly that was, no one knows yet. Apparently, there was some discussion about him trying to use the bonus card that they have, because it's UTS, and he couldn't because it's the quarter was over. However, if that actually was the reason why he later got into the off-court spot with someone, with the supervisor, who knows? Yeah, lots of American youth ghost. Yeah, it's basically only American youth. Like 17 out of 28 players in the draw were American. It's kind of a failed event for you guys if you don't win it. Well, of course, last year EPQ won it, but 2022 had the Opelka Brooksby final. And I guess, is this the third edition, or am I forgetting about one? No. Guess it must be the third edition, right? So. But yeah, it's a bit of an American national championship, if you may. It's not quite like the Bernie Challenger, where you have just Australia and Japan, but does Anjaber match up a lot better than against flat heaters than spinny ones? There is some merit to it. I mean, you know how Ons takes pace, and like how she can, for example, at Wimbledon, the way she was playing against Rybakina or Sabalenka, the way she can just stand on the baseline and redirect their power without like major issues, really. And it's going to be harder to do from an Iga shot where you have the heaviness on the ball as well. So, there is some merit to it. Yeah. Another great point for Shelton. I mean, he hits this backhand overhead. It's not enough to win the point. Thompson plays it pretty deep, so we have a total reset in the rally. But it's Shelton who finds the forehand opening and he cracks a winner. I mean, yeah, he really hasn't been putting a foot wrong this much so far. Like, it's, of course, he hasn't broken yet, but it's not obvious in such conditions against a very good server. But definitely has been playing a little bit better to me than Thompson has. Can't win this point though. Chipped return, it gives a bit of initiative to Thompson. Perhaps the lob from Shelton could have been a bit better, but eventually he gets the point. John going for beers. Yeah, it's mostly Americans and Australians. That's true. Although the Australians, I think, it's just 5 in the main draw, but 17 out of 28 are Americans. So it's a pretty big difference for sure. Than the Argentina Spain championship, although all the Spaniards lost pretty much, especially if Munar will lose. So there's actually a possibility for, well, technically for Argentinians in the Cordoba semis, because Darderi is pretty much Argentinian. Like, he is actually an Argentine, but he represents Italy. But he was still coming from that country, that tennis school. So he was born in Argentina. He was representing Argentina until like 2000, I don't know, 19 or whatever. So technically it would still be for Argentinians in a way. So I guess both events might be very dominated by one country in the end. Although here still a few players fighting back against the Americans. So Thompson, so Manarino and Duckworth, of course, they have a quarterfinal where neither player is American. And both Thompson and Manarino could feasibly think of winning the event 100%. Let's see how the tiebreak goes, since this will be pretty crucial. There was a question somewhere. Who do you think will win? And I will not respond to it like in any serious manner, because it's been a surfaced. It's kind of impossible to say who is going to prevail in a tiebreak after both players have dominated their service games throughout the set completely. Ghosty Echeverry lost, so that's gone for you. Echeverry lost to Fede Coria today. Coria almost defending his runner-up points already and really playing with so much determination this week. He knows what he has to do in terms of the runner-up points defense, and he's just going at it. He has so much intensity. Anyway, let's see how the tiebreak here goes. Shelton has to play a rally on the first point of the match, but as we said, he hasn't really been out of his element in them so far. And also not here. He manages to find a decent backhand cross angle. Thompson can't quite forehand squash shot it into the court, so the first point goes to Shelton. No mini breaks yet. Still no mini breaks, as we now have a big serve from Jordan Thompson. Definitely not a match so far that's had like the most interesting patterns, the most interesting twists and turns and momentum shifts. But well, it's a quick court, two very good servers, so I guess we had to expect it. Thompson serving volleying, and I think he's gonna claim the point. It was a pretty tough one. I think that the first volley he had to get pretty good touch on it, but he does do it. So still no mini breaks, and it really could be decided by just one blip, one little slip. Shelton again has to play for it in the tiebreak. which isn't going to be ideal in the long run. However, if he can just keep winning these points, drop shot, and Thompson gets to it. Thompson also plays a sensational volley, and Thompson wins it with another one. This was a pretty interesting volleying exchange at the end, but that's, yeah. Ben Shelton has to play for it. He actually fires a pretty decent backhand dropper, but that control that Thompson got on the lob running into it was fabulous. Of course, Shelton eventually still plays it back at Jordan, but he finds this forehand volley angle and eventually just claims it, as Shelton can't quite reach for any ball yet after chasing down the most recent one. So yeah, 3-1. The first mini break goes to Jordan Thompson with this great rally. Still no 3 points for Shelton on serve in this tiebreak, and that's been pretty crucial. As even though he's winning a pretty significant, I would say, amount of baseline rallies so far, it's still not a great thing for him just not to get anything for free. And in fact, it's going to be worse than free because Jordan Thompson steps in to take the second serve return forehand down the line, and it's been such a good tiebreak from the Australian so far. What are the chances that there aren't at least two tiebreaks in Hubi versus Humbert? I mean, the history of their matchup has been a little more complicated than that. Of course, Hurkacz winning every single time. But yeah, one tiebreak in Basel, one tiebreak in Halle, and one tiebreak in Melbourne. So I think at least one tiebreak. Maybe let's stick to at least one tiebreak, I guess, given the history of their match. I think Marseille might be a little better for Hurkacz than Basel was in this rivalry, but who the hell knows? I mean, it's still a very serve-based match. So, and that's an ace from Jordan Thompson, who's literally having a stunner in this tiebreak. Like the only point that Ben has won was a really good rally too. Like he had to finish it off with a cracking forehand winner. So it's really been a masterpiece, that Jordan Thompson tiebreak so far. Does anyone take it earlier than Humbert? I don't know if Humbert is actually the player who takes the ball the earliest as you can get. Maybe like who am I thinking of? Thomas Mahac, maybe. Is that a fair? Maybe like someone like Leandro Ridi, or yeah, some of these indoor goats. Of course, Humbert is also a bit of an indoor goat. So David Goffin, is that a fair call? Maybe. But yeah, can Thompson continue his masterclass of a tiebreak? I think he can. I mean, he's approaching the net, he's smashing, and he's winning the point 6-1. I mean, he literally hasn't done anything in the tiebreak that hasn't been perfect. Even when he had that 1 point that he lost, I mean, he forced Shelton to come up with a great shot to take it. Yes, this time, Gene, you managed to get it right. Darderi, Hanfman, yeah, 7-6. Shelton with another quick, well, with a quick point on serve, but of course by now it might not matter anymore. 6-2, 4 more set points, 4 more opportunities for Jordan Thompson, and most importantly, 2 of them will be on serve if he needs them. And I think Shelton has just missed that forehand cross, so it's 7-2 Thompson, and it really was a perfect tiebreak. Literally flawless, hang it in the Louvre type of deal. Did you watch the United Cup final? Yes, I did. Germany, Poland, of course. That was pretty wild. And the choke from Hurkacz, but then again, he wasn't really the better player in the first 2 sets in the first place. It was more so Zverev just starting to net rush the tie breaks. But yeah, it was quite entertaining. Do you know much about Darderi? Yeah, of course. I mean, he's actually from Argentina. He started representing Italy a few years ago, but he comes from Argentina. So of course, it's a bit of a home event for him as well. Awesome forehand, really awesome clay forehand, pretty good serve as well. I think in the future there should be a year where he's in the top 100 for sure. In fact, I did predict him to do it this year. He's gonna have a chance tomorrow because if he beats Diaz Acosta or Baez, he's gonna get there. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a question of like how good can you be if the main thing that you have is that huge forehand and a very clay shot as well for sure with the heaviness. And I think you can be a top 100 player. Yeah, sure. I don't know that he's actually gonna hold up on the main tour like in the long run, but it's been a great run for him as he defeats Huntman. He defeats Barrios Vera and Offner. I think especially the match against Offner is the eye-catching result with him losing just 3 games there. And of course, he also qualified, beating Giannessi and beating Colarini. But yeah, last year he was in the second half of the year. He was basically in the quarterfinals and semifinals of a challenger just every single week. So there was a big opportunity for him in terms of the top 100 early this season, and it seems like he might be on the verge of taking it, or if not taking it this week, then maybe in the next month or so. Golden Swing, obviously, he's potentially his best part of the season on the ATP tour if he ever plays it like more, consistently week in week out. Yeah. Anything else? Oh, Thompson might be having a late surge. I mean, that's a bit late for that. Like he has been having a late surge. It's the best he's ever played, like hands down. And I think that's been the case maybe since early last year, even when he won the challenger in Rome, Georgia, over Alex Michelsen. I think there already you could see it. But yeah, since then, Jordan Thompson has been, to me, in his prime. I don't care that he had like a 40-ish ranking as well in 2018. I don't care that he beat Andy Murray a few years ago in Queens. I do think that the last year or so has been the prime of Jordan Thompson. And he's actually never been this much of a force on the ATP Tour. Never been like there with the level against all of these guys. And the first serve improvements, like to me, are the main reason behind it, really. But yeah, let's see if he can keep going after this perfect tiebreak. Maybe Shelton is about to attack the Thompson serve a little bit. It is love 30. It could be that after this tiebreak, after this set, Thompson has that little bit of a deep of focus. We're seeing it all the time. And maybe this is a good moment for Shelton to punish, to try to pounce on it. Shelton is in the rally at least. Thompson hitting this great backhand down the line. Wow. And Shelton has to climb out of it with a slice, but he manages to stay in the point. Yeah, and he survives Jordan Thompson, at least for now. It is 15:30. I see that Miles has been live tweeting this match as well. Already excited about the potential opening for Ben when Thompson fell down low 30 then. Here, let's see if that actually turns into something or not. 15:30 and also second serve, so Ben will feel like it's an opportunity. I wonder what type of return we're going to see. Serve is probably going to be a kick down the. Ooh, yeah, that's a nasty miss. Also, the spin on that Thompson serve, like it's really not easy to handle. Like even his second serve is pretty sick here, honestly. It seemed like just a regulation kicker to the Shelton backhand, but then it actually bounces sort of into Ben's body. Yeah, even that second serve is pretty good. 30 all and an ace. And as I said a few times, like it's not that Shelton has been poor today or like is not constructing the points carefully enough. Like it's really just been Thompson not giving him much for free, not giving him anything, serving well, and playing that spotless tiebreak. And that's game for Jordan Thompson. So he's up a set and also one love up now. He managed to get out of the love 30 hole. Has Shelton been making unforced errors on the Thompson serve? Not really, honestly. I think Shelton has been pretty patient today. And the Thompson serve is insane, you know. Thompson, I don't know if James you were here at the beginning of the stream, but actually Jordan Thompson is holding serve over the past year or so more than Ben Shelton. It's not like a huge lead. It's basically 0.9 sorry 0.7% when it comes to their hold percentage. But yeah, I mean Jordan Thompson is not a better server than Ben Shelton, but he is a more efficient server, at least at this point of his career. Which is wild to think about, but it is the case. And that's for me really been the story of yeah, Jordan Thompson becoming a full-on main tour threat for everyone. Gene says that he never knew how good Josh Thompson's serve was. Yeah, I think maybe if you watched him like 2 or 3 years ago, it wouldn't really be sticking out. But the last year or so, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like a top 20 serve maybe. I think that's actually true. I mean, if you remember, for example, the way he played Novak at Wimbledon, and that should be a good example for you, right? Because you're a Djokovic fan, but the way he played Novak at Wimbledon last year, he was unbreakable. Of course, he still couldn't really hold on with Novak. Like it wasn't that the match was too close. It was still a straight set win for Djokovic, but the serve of Thompson was not the problem. Like the serve was actually somewhat unplayable for the most part. He was, yeah. Straight sets win for Novak, but he actually had to play very, very well to get that done. Like it wasn't one of these matches where maybe sometimes in the majors you can screw around a little bit and maybe just drop a set and it doesn't matter all that much. Like that there actually Thompson was there with the level. Like it was not comparable to some of the other early rounds that Djokovic played at that Wimbledon campaign. Of course, since the fourth round, everything was more tricky, but I'm just talking about the first three, let's say. I bet that Shelton would get higher than 13 games won. I mean, it all depends if he claims the second set. He needs to win the second set for you, and that's really the only thing right now. If he loses in two, then he's not gonna claim 13 games. If he wins the second set, he's gonna have 13 games, and he's gonna have 12 already, or maybe 13 if he wins it in a tiebreak, and he's not getting bageled in the third, So absolutely, I think he basically needs to win the set, and so far we haven't seen much in terms of either player getting an advantage other than Thompson really firing up for the tiebreak and just not doing anything wrong there. Not a single shot, not a single direction choice, not a single yeah idea behind his game as well. And I guess that's also one of the main aspects of Thompson's late breakthrough, right? Just the fact that he's more mature, understands what he sort of has in his abilities a little bit more, and just plays the type of tennis that he knows he'll be good at. True maximizer of his potential that I honestly didn't even used to like that much. Like Jordan Thompson, up until a few years ago, was pretty unwatchable for me. He was boring, he was bland, he was generic, he was just a bit of a vulture, yeah, even I would say. I don't really like that term too much because I think sometimes, smart scheduling is vulturing and like it's hard to find a well, why would anything be vulturing? Like if something is allowed in the rules, why not? But at the same time, like Thompson was pretty close to that over the years. But now I actually get a lot of enjoyment out of watching Thompson, and especially when he plays matches like this, yeah, against the big guys, and he really pushes them these days. So I have become a Jordan Thompson enjoyer for sure over the years, despite initially not liking his game too much, at least not liking it visually. His career high is 43, still from 2019, but he has a good chance this week to actually set up a new one. And in fact, I think maybe he already has done that. Yeah, he's already done that, I think. Yeah, he's already going to be at 42. If he wins this match, he might be even at 37. He's actually getting close to like Grand Slam seedings type of ranking, which wouldn't be that wrong to me. Like, I think if he snatches a seeding at one of the next two slams, that really wouldn't be wrong. Of course, at Roland Garros, well, that's a slam where he can't really win matches. So, yeah, it would be a bit wild if he had a seeding for Roland Garros. But for Wimbledon, he absolutely should have a seeding. He is one of the top 30, maybe 20 grass players in the world to me. Anyway, won a great couple of points again, this time scrambling against the Shelton forehand, but Ben fires a cross-court rocket and Thompson can't quite get it back. Excited for Rotterdam. Yeah, I just looked at the draw very briefly, but I saw that there was some amazing round-one matchups. Like, Corda de Minor, Safiullin Rune. That's probably the biggest one, I think. Hurkacz Lehečka as well. But yeah, I'm also excited about the qualies tomorrow. Thijs Bogard, how he does. Bogard, I guess. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's the 15-year-old junior from the Netherlands who's like perceived as a huge prodigy. He's gonna play Hugo Gaston. I doubt he gets much done in this in this encounter, but well, it's still gonna be exciting to see how he does. And Rodionov Bergs to start things off as well. Shapovalov Marter, that's a great match. Goffin Barrer. So a lot of very good ones in the qualies of Rotterdam tomorrow. Yeah, Manarino is also a good example of a player whom you might consider boring at first, and then you sort of just maybe go deeper into how he plays and how he's basically one of the most unique both games and personalities on the tour, and you definitely start appreciating him more. I don't know if I've ever had a big dislike for Manarino, but I certainly had a bit of a like I don't care attitude about him. And yeah, these days I have so much respect for him. And for Thompson, I actually used to dislike him quite a bit because he is also a bit of a moaner. Like he complains on the court a lot, more so when he's losing, obviously. Like today, I don't think we've seen it, but maybe he has also toned it down a bit now that he's in the prime of his career, basically. But yeah, he used to play like this. I don't know. Let's say he misses a shot that would have been ridiculous if he made it. He misses it by half a meter, and he's like, "Oh, how did I miss that?" And he's arguing about every single line call. I guess you don't really see it from Jordan anymore. So cool. Yeah, Rotterdam. I hear that's a great event. I was actually gonna go there once. I think it was 2020, but they first replied to me that they have a lot of press, accreditation requests, and that they weren't gonna probably weren't gonna be able to. Well, not probably, that they weren't gonna accept it this year. And I was like, okay. I went to Marseille instead. But then a week before the event, Rotterdam actually texts me and like, basically, it's as if the previous email doesn't exist. They just say, "Oh, so we accept your accreditation. You're invited." And I just said, "I'm sorry, I made other plans already." So I actually didn't go to Rotterdam that year. I went to Marseille. But if I ever start like traveling the ATP tour more, um, maybe it's definitely quite cheap for me to get to, compared to most events at least. Munar is 1 year. I don't know if Munar actually complains that much on the court. You know, people have seem to have issues with Jaume Munar. I always thought it's more about his game, though. Although I guess once Munar starts whining, then maybe it's more spectacular. Like it's not as constant as an Ostapenko or a pre-prime Jordan Thompson, but it might be more spectacular when he does. Like that whole talk with Tanasi last year. Yeah, it's kind of like that ghosty. Yeah, I just told them to. But, well, yeah, John is not listening, but I'm still not gonna curse on stream. But I just told them to go away. Bagni's 755 to up on Munar, by the way. So the whiny Munar that Ghosty doesn't like, apparently, and someone else was asking about his score earlier in the chat, is about to go out. So we actually will have a bit of an Argentinian semi-final lineup in Cordoba because Coria, Darderi, as I said, he is actually Argentinian, even if he's representing Italy, and Bagnis potentially if he wins just one more game, and also Diaz Acosta or Baez in that last last quarterfinal. So the lineup will be fully Argentinian probably, if we just look at Darderi as his country of birth, not what he plays for. Anyway, that's not too important. Anyway, Thompson, Shelton, 2 games all. As I said earlier, there's that storyline in Dallas where we can have the top 4 seeds in the semifinals again, just like in Montpellier last week and just like in Marseille this week. However, if Ben Shelton loses, of course, that we can already be in that story, that narrative, because that would mean that Ben Shelton has sort of ruined it, or maybe Jordan Thompson ruined it more realistically. But let's see, still no break points, still no breaks. It says even as it gets, besides that first set tie break, which really was a Jordan Thompson masterclass. Random work says Shelton will lose in second. Very chill vibe. Yeah, I do consider myself a chill person. I don't really argue with anyone unless I absolutely have to. Vansh lost the top 4 seats in each tournament. Yeah, that's a good one. That's of course a reference to Vansh's Australian Open bracket, which John is still going at him again about that. Like he's actually still referencing that on the Talking Tennis group chat all the time. It's kind of funny to me, like how long he keeps that going. Something in him just feels very angry at Vansh for calling that prediction bold. But anyway, I'm usually like the top four seeds of a tournament making it into the semis. Is that exciting or is that actually boring? Uh, Depends on the seeds, right? Like in Marseille, I'm not too invested, for example, in the matchups, honestly. Neither Dimitrov Kachanov or Hurkacz Umber sort of get me going because I guess we've seen these matches already and like, yeah, it's just nothing special to me. Surely I would have preferred if Rinderknech or Mahac won today, and there was just more freshness. But of course, it wasn't particularly close either. Both, well, actually, all four quarterfinals today in Marseille were very straightforward. So Jordan Thompson was again in a bit of trouble after an unforced error, and in fact, that's one of the first unforced errors like this that I've seen from him in this match. Honestly, like he barely has been missing shots like this, but he gets out of this again with the second serve, and this time it was a kicker at the Shelton forehand, which Ben can't quite put into the court. You can probably look at it and say a makeable return, sure. At the same time, you can see that there's a lot of unpleasant spin on that second serve from Thompson, so it's a bit in the middle for sure. This time, Shelton gets the return in play though. He is whipping his forehand. He is trying to play this carefully. Backhand cross. He has Thompson on the back foot, but he won't be able to capitalize just yet. Now it's Thompson who starts dominating a little bit, but again, he lets it slip. It's a very good rally. Thompson with this flatter backhand down the line. And he eventually gets the error from Shelton. But yeah, it was like 20 shots, I think. Potentially the longest rally of the match, I would assume. Or maybe, the top three longest. And again, from 15-30, there was also a love 30 in the first game of the second set. Thompson climbs out of this. He's resetting his service motion here. Not sure what for, but finds a good serve. And yes, it is 3-2 Thompson. Another little chance for Shelton that's been missed. Oh, really? So the opponents that they face, no, but that's just today, right? Hurkacz, Dimitrov, Kachanov, and Umber. I think it's just today, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it was a couple of very lousy quarterfinals, or even four lousy quarterfinals in Marseille today, for sure. Hurkacz has been progressing through the draw without any real sense of danger, which was a bit surprising. I mean, especially today, but these slower courts, I think they work in his favor in both matchups. Umber, I guess, has had some pretty tough match right away, didn't he? Who did he play yesterday? I don't remember. I don't even remember now. But yeah, Dimitrov played Korda and Rinderknech, also not troubled, and Kachanov beat Zhank and Bautista Agut very easily. Yeah, the Marseille quarters definitely didn't deliver today. Bagni's 2 points away from claiming the match against Munar. Sometimes unseeded players don't get the respect. They're impotent. Okay. No, but I guess you meant to say important. I would hope. However, sure. I mean, of course, that's really the case. Like for example, today I saw a tweet. Oh, Gaston. Yeah. I remember there was a. You're right, Jean. I remember there was a tough match for Umber. But yeah, Sean, when it comes to the unseeded players, I remember seeing a tweet today which was about that top four seeds thing in Marseille, which I think was from Jose Morgado. I think it was. And he basically said something like, "That's great to see." And I was like, I mean, I understand that someone can enjoy the matchups that are actually, at hand, let's say, in Marseille in the semifinals. Sure. Like, that's just a question of personal preference. So I can't really disagree with anyone. However, I don't think it's legitimately great for the game or bad for the game if the top four seeds make it into the final. In fact, if the top four seeds were making it into the final, maybe it would even be bad for the game. Like if they were doing it on a very regular basis. I don't know. I mean, partially, of course, this is caused by the ATP Tour and how the draws are structured, right? Because you have the top four seeds basically have one less match. So one less opportunity to fall out. So in events like Marseille or Montpellier, it's only four players need to win 8 matches in order for this to happen. Of course, Dallas is the very same case. But yeah, I mean, just seeing that's great to see. I was like, I mean, it's neutral to see. To me, it's neutral to see. There are merits to it because you want to have the same players sort of building up rivalries and building up storylines and maybe being as dangerous as they want to be on the top. But I guess if we're talking about like if someone wants to see, let's say let's say Hurkacz Umber again instead of a match of I don't know, let's say Mahacz Umber or Hurkacz Davidovich Fokina, just something let's say one of these players just is going to be mixed up. I don't really understand that. I can't really get behind that. I don't see any excitement. But I know it's also my personal style of like watching tennis. I have to have something new, something fresh every single day, which is basically probably why I also watch the Challenger Tour so much because yeah, just the amount of narratives, players, rivalries, storylines is let's say double that of the ATP Tour or even more. So it does keep things a lot more fresh, and I think it also helps me to keep myself from burning out in any way. I think if I was only watching the ATV tour, I would burn out pretty quickly. How much longer is the match? Well, it depends. Dom, it's not like that in tennis. Like it can last from 15 minutes to an hour and a half. Basically, Thompson has to get to 2 sets, or any player has to get into 2 sets. Thompson is leading by a set, and if he gets to six games in the second set, he's gonna win it. But yeah, it's hard to explain if you don't know much about the scoring system. But essentially, he is leading 1-love in the race to two, 1-0 in the race to two, and if he's fast about it, he might win in the next 15 minutes. If he's not, he might lose in the next 2 hours. And that's tennis. That's the beauty, and that's the awesome thing about it. Oh, Alexander Blocks going to Nottingham tomorrow. Ashley, nice. Alexander Blocks. I hope he's gonna win this title in Nottingham because that would be a real sort of nice moment for him after the first few, let's say, early losses in 2024, especially the tight ones. By the way, this is the most sloppy game of Jordan Thompson all match so far, love 40, and this is the true test now. These are the first breakpoints we see, and of course, Jordan Thompson in his 2024 era, he is fully capable of just blasting 3 good serves here and winning the game, but let's see if he can actually produce. One has been done. He had to finish it off with a smash, but it was pretty easy. But yeah, Blocks, I'm excited for you. I've watched Blocks live a few times already. In Koblenz twice, in Danderit, I think maybe. How many matches there was that? 6, so about 8 matches, and he's super exciting to watch live for sure. And just really reminds you how good he's going to be. One of these talents you kind of only have to see for like 5 minutes, and you're already certain. So I'm excited for you to have this moment tomorrow. Shelton and Thompson trading forehands now. Of course, Thompson's is the way less dangerous one. However, it's Shelton who cracks first, tries to go for too much angle on this forehand cross. Maybe there was an opportunity to go inside in as well. I don't know. Like it was definitely getting quite um, monotonous for both guys, and Thompson just kind of lifting up that Shelton forehand and time again, and eventually Ben just goes for a little bit too much angle. So one more breakpoint for the American, and he breaks with a pretty reactive sort of accidental return, but Thompson goes left. He puts his gravity, center. He puts his center of gravity on the left leg, and he won't be able to even flinch towards that forehand return down the line, which just sort of travels through the air and eventually makes it in. So it's a break for Ben Shelton. And now to the previous questions about how long this match might be, it might be a lot longer. Ghosty having a fun time there, but yeah. Was there anything else? Let's go Ben, says Josh, who is relying on Shelton. I guess random work isn't, since earlier he or she said that Ben will lose 100%. I still hope that Sean wasn't saying that the unseeded players are as impotent as anyone else. uh, but maybe. There was also who you want to win from Case and Cyphers. I don't really have a preference. I like watching both guys, so I don't mind either being in the semifinals potentially. Yeah, either being in the semis is fine for me. I think it's the bottom half, right, where Shelton or Thompson could play Tommy Paul. So I guess the more exciting matchup in that is Shelton Paul, the one that we've already seen at the Australian Open last year, for example, and the US Open as well. So I guess just for the sake of that narrative continuing, Shelton Paul would be more exciting for me than Thompson Paul. But yeah, I like watching both players. I don't really mind. And I know that earlier I said that I like freshness, but I feel like Shelton Paul is still not a matchup that we're bored with yet. I think there's still novelty to it if they would play each other here. So I definitely wouldn't mind that. And Thompson Paul, that's pretty good too. But yeah, looks like this match might last quite a long while longer from here. And also, that guy earlier in the chat who was hoping for over 13 games for Shelton, he's looking pretty good right now as well. Given also that he's 40 love up in the next game and basically about to secure a 5-3 lead. And he does secure that 5-3 lead, so it's a very comfortable hold to consolidate. He will get his opportunity to serve out the set, but of course, for now, he also has that freebie on the Jordan Thompson mighty serve, which is actually mighty, but I'm just laughing about it a little bit. Is the crowd pumping up Shelton? I mean, I'm watching mostly on mute, so I can't fully tell you, but I don't think it's been one of these matches where Ben uses the crowd energy quite a lot. It's not like Australian Open last year, for example. Yeah, I haven't looked at Doha too much yet either. I know more or less who Iga plays early, but that's kind of the extent of it. Doha is the good one for her anyway, so if she loses early there, that's when people might start worrying. Last year she like barely lost games, I think, on the way to the title, maybe like 8, which was insane. But yeah, Jordan Thompson serving 3-5 down, trying to keep himself in the second set. I doubt that's something that he's going to be looking at right now. But if he holds here and then Shelton holds, he's also going to start the third set, which to me is an advantage. I don't care that the stats don't really. Well, the stats say that, but they say that by like a very small margin. I think it should be bigger, like just psychologically, but we will see. Anyway, of course, Jordan Thompson is also hoping to stay in the set and actually break Ben Shelton next game. That's the main plan for him right now. But if he can't do that, he'll still have that, at least I'm serving first. Which again, I don't think it will really be on his mind right now, but it might be on ours as we enter the third set. Then again, of course, he was serving first in this set. He's actually the only player so far to have faced breakpoints in this match, and he couldn't quite get out of that love 40 hole. It's another saber for Shelton, or should I say BB? Sneak attack by Ben, if you may, or whatever. He manages to run into the court, essentially just flip the second serve return into play, and gets passed by Jordan Thompson, who doesn't really care about it, as it's a bit of a tank effort in the point from Shelton, but well, he keeps him guessing, which is a strategy of sorts if you're 15-40 down or love 40 down on return. Now show me a player who have the guts to actually try to pull this off on a very important point. Anyway, 5-4, Ben Shelton will be serving to get us to a deciding set and sort of break the curse that I've had recently, that whichever match I'm doing on Talking Tennis, it always ends up sucking and just not delivering as expected. Whereas today we might actually have one. Do I believe in tanking return games? Maybe not tanking return games as a whole, but yeah, like 1 or 2 points played earlier, maybe. Oh, I finally got that Sean line earlier. Yeah, indeed. You guys are right. He's playing 3D chess. I guess, I don't know. I mean, tennis, I was just like too stuck, in the tennis world in order to look for the pun there. But yeah, I guess unseated works. I was hoping for a more sort of to the point comment, I guess, maybe, but no, it's actually really good, Sean. Yeah, after finally getting it 20 minutes later, it's pretty good. Yeah, unseated. Anyway, Yeah, focusing on your own serve, tanking return games. Like if you're 5-3 up, let's say like Shelton was here, and you are very confident that you are good on serve, like half tanking your return game, I don't hate it. I don't think that's what Ben did. I think he kind of half tanked the last point, but not a whole return game. But I don't hate it if you're really comfortable with your serve. Me personally, I would always try on the return game just because I don't feel confident with my serve. It can give me some free points from time to time, but I'm not that confident in order to just sort of half throw away a game. That's a great point from Thompson. He kind of has Shelton on a string here, moving up and down the court, eventually finishes it off with this forehand volley, which actually he's hit a few like this, exactly the same motion this much already. He gets a good sharp angle out of it. He gets really good, like it's guaranteed to be over the net. It's pretty soft, but at the same time, it basically goes through the angle as well. And it is 30 all now, so let's see if Jordan can actually produce a breakpoint. He hasn't had one yet in this match. First serve is out from Shelton, so if he's going to step up, then where else would be a better opportunity? Return is in play at the very least. But it's Thompson who makes the first error. Yes. A little like broken on that forehand swing. He tore the motion a tad. We can see the challenge on the screen, or at least on my screen, it was just on the small, well, not a challenge, I guess, but the close call, that they show us with electronic line calling, but it was definitely out. So it's a set point for Ben. And another second serve to look at for Jordan Thompson. So he might try to take it early. He does. It's that flatter backhand again. And as I think 30 minutes earlier, Gene was talking about it in the chat. But yeah, the backhand of Thompson, when it stays so low, it's certainly quite unpleasant as well. And this return was a good example of that. Shelton just not getting the contact point right at all because of how flat and tricky it was. But we're still playing. We are at deuce. And Shelton throws out a backhand cross, so Jordan Thompson actually gets to a break point. That would be a painful loss for that guy who had over 13 games on Shelton. But if Shelton was going to lose in two here, but we'll see. He has wasted the set point, or should I say wasted? I mean, he didn't land the first serve on a set point, and Thompson punished it with a good return. And now he actually is forced to save a break point. But it is a big serve. It's going to fall into the court. Thompson is still in it somehow, but yeah, it's a good combination from Shelton. Perhaps could have cleaned it up with one shot, but there was no point in doing that, really, risking too much. He does it in a safe, cautious manner, and he is bucket deuce. At this stage, just really wants to get out of this game somehow. And he does, I guess, get closer to it with this ace. I think this one might have been pretty fast. I don't see the shot, the speed gun on my screen. Yeah, this one wasn't particularly close. They still showed us the shot, the close call, but this one wasn't particularly close to me. And it's another first serve from Shelton, but what a reaction by Jordan Thompson as well. He was lightning fast here with his hands, honestly. This is an ace against a lot of players. But he actually manages to produce a decent, like almost one-two punch from it. It wasn't a proper one-two punch because the serve was just, like the return was just, he threw it into the court basically, but then he clinches it with the forehand winner next. Invites Shelton to the net here. The slice approach from Ben is not going to be good enough. Yeah, it's another breakpoint for Jordan Thompson. Forehand chip return, one of his specialties as well, and then a great lob down the line. He's actually played this one a few times already in this match, backhand down the line lob. And it wasn't like the slice approach of Shelton was even poor. Like, it actually had a lot of good side spin on it. You could see how the ball was running away from Thompson. But anyway, it's another break point. But this serve will not be returnable. Yeah. I think this time, again, we might see the close call. This was probably on the line for Ben, but Thompson wasn't able to produce that sort of a reaction as 2 points earlier. He loops this return nicely into play here. And he is in the rally, and this was some excellent defense. It's a cheapish error eventually from Shelton, but even looping this return back in play, that was really impressive. And then the slice that bounced fairly low. Yeah, it's a really good attempt from Thompson. Can Shelton keep coming up with these big serves? Well, it's a big-ish serve, but Thompson is in the rally. That's Shelton stepping up though. Gets a short ball and just pounces on it backhand cross instantly. Deuce again, and this has been the most entertaining game of the match for sure. It has a lot of sort of implications as well, right, for the end of the match. Why the hell is Andreeva not playing in tournaments? Mira, I guess, right? Because I think Erika was. I don't know. I honestly, with the WTA and how entry lists for their events are tough to find, I kind of get lost in it, and I honestly haven't even been looking at that too much. But yeah, Ben Shelton with an ace now to get another set point. Eighth ace, Thompson has 7. I think there was a moment when Thompson had 7 and Ben had 3, so he's been firing a lot of them recently, and Thompson can't quite control the return. So this is a game for Ben Shelton, and we are going into the decider, which feels like a pretty nice way of ending this match, right? I mean, Jordan Thompson, he played a perfect first set tiebreak, but he actually had the sloppiest service game of the match so far in that 3-all game in the second set. So I think the second set tiebreak, the third set the third set feels like a very good way of settling this manner and settling this affair, and yeah, just seeing who's gonna come out on top. Is it going to be Ben Shelton, the third seed, or Jordan Thompson, who I think is the 7th seed? Yeah, seems fitting for sure. And I think earlier, yeah, I was pointing out that Thompson backhand, very compact, redirects well with it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, technically, Kaysen, you need one more, or 2 more games from Shelton, but I think in a match like this with the quick surface, it would be very hard for him not to grab 2 more games in the third set. So Nordland was talking about Andreeva. Is she actually not in, you know, Doha or anything? I guess not then. Yeah, I guess she's not. As I said, I do get a bit lost with that WTA system of not letting people see any entry lists for whatever reason. So I don't. I sometimes struggle to keep track of that. But yeah, Ben Shelton now back onto the court. Is Jordan Thompson there? Or no, is Ben actually? Ben is actually walking off the court. It seems because they're both off the court and we have a bit of a break. Is Shelton's two hander a bit flat for consistency? I mean, the most consistent, so sorry, the flattest players in the world are actually among the most consistent. It's weird, but if you look at it, like Bautista, good, Manarino, Medvedev, I don't know how it's possible. I mean, spin theoretically should be allowing your shots to get into the court, like should help you to hit bigger and safer. But actually, some of the flattest shots are actually often the most consistent. I mean, even a Kyrgios flat backhand, like when he actually cared, when he was actually determined, he could just hit with it all day. And it's the same really with Shelton's backhand. I think he can eventually in the future be very consistent with it. I doubt it's a technical issue. That's a good query here. Who would you rather join? Who would I rather join me right now? Roger Federer, Ali Salim, and Nurlan. Well, it depends because if we're talking about a stream, I would probably have to say Roger Federer. If we're talking about join me, sort of, here sitting next to me on a chair, I would probably have to say Ali Salim. Now, when it comes to Nurlan, what's the scenario where I want Nurlan to join me? Let's say that the police comes into my house, and they are very angry at me. That's actually not even the police. It's the police, but also there are a few people from like the mental asylum, and they have straight jackets and they want to just get me to their place, and I'm like, no, 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 I'm actually sane, believe me. And then I say, well, that's what I say. And then they say, so wait, in order for us not to get not to get you into that asylum, you need to present someone who is even crazier than you. And that's when I would like to have Nurlan by my side, because I would give them Nurlan. I would give them to the mental asylum people. They would put him in a straight jacket and close him down from the world. So that's my answer. It depends on the scenario. It depends on the setting. Ooh, some interesting tidbit from Jackson, who says that he went to middle and high school with Ben Shelton. I guess Ben Shelton, because it says Ben, but uh, could be a lot of Bens, but I'm assuming that's Ben Shelton. And he's never met someone as competitive as him in any aspect. Makes sense, sportsmen, sports people are definitely among the most competitive, and whatever thing that would be, risk, monopoly, dodgeball. You gotta be competitive to really have that drive and hope, wish, and pray, and also believe that you are gonna get to number one in the world. Which, well, self belief is probably not something that Ben is missing. No, although he might have some dips. Everyone does, but anyway, Jordan Thompson starting the third set on serve. Hmm. That's interesting as well about the GPA of Ben Shelton. I actually wouldn't have thought that. Yeah, as you said, I mean, he must have missed a lot of weeks of school. Coppers on my six. I don't actually know what you're talking about. But yeah, that's some very interesting notes from Jackson. It's rare to have a that sort of an experience with a pro tennis player of this caliber, of course. That's some great running from Jordan Thompson now as he tracks down the Shelton dropper and manages to pass him 30-15. It does feel like the last 10 minutes or so, of course, discounting that break between sets, the amount of free points that the players have been getting has lessened. That's probably them sort of starting to read their serves a bit better, has lowered, I guess, is what I was trying to say, not lessened. Which hopefully will result in a lot more entertaining games for us, like the last one of the second set was, with the set point, break point, switch ups. Ah, okay. I didn't. The six was not a expression I've heard or understood. That makes a lot of sense. Did you go, Jackson? Did you go to that Dallas first match then? If he sent you tickets, first match was. Oh, actually, maybe you're talking about doubles then, since a couple of nights ago, right? Because Mike Mo was yesterday, I guess. And no, was it? Or no, sorry, it was 2 days ago. Yeah, I'm mixing these days up because, of course, I live in a different time zone. But no, it was 2 days ago. Yeah, indeed, against Mike Mo. Um, for your Shelton win, Dominic, I don't know. I mean, really, this has been a match that's extremely close. It doesn't feel like it's in any sort of predicting abilities. There's no real answer to this. It's all a matter of what they will actually show on the court and produce in the most important moments, especially. Ben Shelton starts off the second game of the third set with a double fault. I think Thompson has just missed that forehand, and yeah, he's angry at himself. I understand that here, as that could have been a counter that gives him, if not the point right away, probably not, but just a comfortable position in the rally again. But he just overcooks it a little bit. Yeah, and now you see the serve of Shelton flowing again, so that's the danger, I guess. Very nice backhand return from Thompson, though. Kind of gets two hands, on the racket as tightly as possible. Manages to control the pace coming from Shelton and get a deep hit. So 30 all. Another return in play. Shelton with some nice shape on this backhand down the line, though. I honestly like when he was lining up for it. It seemed like a typical Shelton error incoming. It seemed like he will just put too much on it for sure. But actually, no, he hasn't done that at all. And that's an ace out wide. So 1 game all. Think we'll have new balls now as well. Yes, indeed. Shelton changing his racket. Thompson probably after the next game. But yes, Jordan Thompson will be the one serving with the new balls, of course. Huh. Yeah, if you haven't seen him play in person since junior year in high school, that's probably a big change up. I've only seen him live, I think, at one event last year myself, but my first experience watching him on stream was definitely later than yours in person, so I haven't had as much of a night and day scenario, I guess. But even for myself, I remember when he showed up at a few challengers or like ITFs in 2022, he disappears to college again. For me, disappears because I don't follow college. And then he comes back after like 8 months, and that already was such a huge difference. Like you could see it just right away. So I think if you compare from even earlier in time, yeah, it must be huge. But yeah, that's an amazing experience for you for sure. I saw some coach say Shelton hits too many forehands from an open stance. Not something I've ever paid attention to. So like if he's on the defense, maybe like it could be related to what I was talking about earlier in the sense that oftentimes you can see Ben like not really relying on the athleticism, the speed that he has, and just going for every shot despite also having that ability to extend the point, which is not going in his favor. But of course, that's not been a problem in this match, not at all. This one, he's actually been pretty patient and definitely playing as well as I think he could really. Hmm. Mini cupcakes and a bunch of goldfish. That's a good tennis snack apparently. It's like the Marcus Willis RV Coke and Mars from an American Challenger in 2014. But well, yeah, lots of good anecdotes here from Jackson about the early days of Ben Shelton. And it's also, of course, cool to see that you say that he's an extremely humble guy in real life, and yeah, I think everyone has been saying that as well. Even if maybe sometimes his on-court behavior might give you a different vibe, but that's mostly because he's like vocal and energetic rather than actually unpleasant to anyone. Thompson has won more second serve points than Shelton, despite getting broken in this match, 77-63. Yeah, I think he also plays on his second serve more, right? Like he doesn't hit the first as much, but yeah, I guess it's not that big a change. Like 6 points lost on second serve, Jordan Thompson, 9 Shelton, whereas from 9 for Shelton, 2 of them were double faults. Uh, Yeah, I guess it's not that big a sample still, but yeah, it's only really Thompson that has had this one big sloppy game, right, where he falls down low 40. Of course, Shelton facing free breakpoints himself, but at least they weren't consecutive. Let's see if there's any trouble here. Shelton missed that backhand slice, first point of the fourth game, but he has since recovered to 15 all. Shelton taking a while to line up for the serve here. Is it in, really? Must have been on the line. Yeah, ace for Shelton. We're gonna see the close call, and indeed it barely caught the service box line. 30-15. So far in this match, the best moments were the last moments of the set in both cases. Really, the best games, the best patches, the most entertaining fragments, and maybe we're gonna get another example of that. Of course, I'm talking about the first set tiebreak, which was very exciting from Thompson's side. And that last back and forth game of the second set, certainly quite investing as well. I think Bell, really, that's an ace as well. I mean, okay, my line calling today has been awful. I remember when watching Raducanu Jaber, I was saying that basically I've been 100% right on every single call. But here, I'm actually horrible. I don't know, maybe it's the orangish court. It just doesn't work for my eyes with the yellow ball, because I would have said that serve was out for sure, and apparently it's not even close. So anyway, 2 games all, Jordan Thompson. But maybe this is also the change of mindset that I mentioned earlier for Thompson, where like he would have been complaining about this some time ago. Maybe in fact the electronic line calling has allowed him to call down a little bit. That's an interesting potential sort of narrative if it actually is the case. Where for someone like Thompson who used to complain about calls, something like electronic line calling is actually sort of allowing him to be more focused, because he knows that this isn't an umpire error. He knows that this is just, yeah, this is just something he has to live with. He has to abide. Of course, for not for everyone, it's going to work out, because Ostapenko is still complaining about every line call, despite having Hawkeye Live, electronic line calling, or whatever. But you do you. We're definitely back into like this part of the match where it's Shelton who gets the easier points and Thompson has to work for it a bit more, which suddenly shifted really in the first set tiebreak, and maybe only then. But right now it does sort of bode well for Shelton in terms of looking for opportunities, and he will have a 15-30 here on the Thompson serve, just cracking a few forehands. And again, if they're playing forehand to forehand, which of course doesn't happen all that often, because it's a rally that requires Shelton to be on the on his right side of the court, given that he's a lefty, and hit forehands from that position. But whenever they have something like that, like Shelton is gonna blast it, and Thompson is just gonna lift it. Thompson is just gonna give it to him at a comfortable contact point. And he really won this rally with that Shelton, the previous one. The way he was able to just crack that first forehand off the Thompson. shot and then just keep going with it, really. This is a bit of an opportunity missed for Shelton, though, now. The next point. No reason to make an error here, really. So 30 all. Still crucial moments, maybe for the rest of the third set. It's a nice serve for Thompson, but it's not giving him all that much. And again, he has to lift the ball a little bit, and Shelton shanks it. In quicker conditions, Thompson can definitely escape with that wobbly forehand a lot more than he can on clay when it would just sit up for him. But yeah, there are many reasons why he struggles on that surface, obviously. Big serve for Thompson. It's actually going to be in play, but he smashes the ball pretty nicely, off the more or less off the baseline, pretty close to the baseline at least. So it's not an easy shot, and it's 3-2 up Thompson. But again, brief opportunities for Shelton, and it's a bit like the first set. When it was Shelton who looked better off the ground, it was Shelton who was getting the easier points, but Thompson kept going and eventually won. So let's see if he can follow up this time and produce pretty much the same scenario. Yeah, Penko, I don't think it's changed much, but Thompson kinda is. I wonder if that's actually a thing or not. If or maybe I'm just coming up with it. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it actually could be a thing for Georgian, I think. Yeah, for Ostapenko, it hasn't changed much, clearly. Thank you to the people who subscribed since the beginning of the stream. I think we've gotten like 5 or 6. At some point, we also went down by one, so apparently I said something offensive, but but now we're up by like 5 or 6. So thank you. And yeah, let's see if we get another tiebreak. If we get another couple of straight holds before the next changeover. 3-2 up, Jordan Thompson in the third set. Ben Shelton about to serve. Yeah, it's not a 150 kilometers an hour serve, but it is probably even more effective. Just sets it up for that easy forehanded. No fuss about it whatsoever. And even after the second serve, it's not easy for Thompson to, even be neutral after the Shelton serve and how strong it is, the angles that Ben can get on it, the variety of them as well. Yeah, it's a good game for Shelton for sure. 40 love up, basically cleaning everything up with a serve and one forehand. This time the forehand was a drop shot, but it doesn't really matter. It's still basically a +1 forehand point. And soon enough, we might be halfway into the tiebreak. He goes for the second serve. He manages to get it close to the line. Three games all. Again, Shelton is like holding very easily right now. So the main idea for Thompson has to be to just keep trying to match him, and eventually maybe an opportunity pops up, just like it did in the first set. Although, as I said earlier, I don't think it really like popped up. Like it would be a little disrespectful for Thompson to actually mean it that way, because he made it so that the opportunity was there. Like he actually worked super hard for it in the tiebreak. But yeah, halfway into the tiebreak, six more holes in order to get a decider here. Did Shelton make it? Is the big question, and I don't think he did, but let's see. As I said, my eye has been pretty horrible. And yeah, of course, he has made it. I was 100% right on that Jaber Raducanu stream. Now I'm 100% wrong on that Thompson Shelton one. To be honest, it wasn't the cleanest of hits, so it was tougher to get. But yeah, I need to step up my game if I want to be a line umpire. I don't actually want to, but maybe. Who knows? Who knows where life will lead you? And it's another long-ish rally. Shelton whipping the forehand again and goes to the net. Really good here. It was a bit like off tempo. He had to hit the volley not too close to the net. It was like almost on the service line, but he handles it all very well. And even the instincts, to hit that whippy forehand inside in and step forward, that was really good. And these whips that he's been hitting today, it's not really the typical Shelton forehand movement, like motion of every time. It's safer, it's more spread the ball around the court rather than kill the point with the first shot. And it's really what you want to see from Ben, I guess, most of the time. And that's going to be three breakpoints for Shelton now, as he's really playing some excellent tennis here, resetting with that forehand loop, getting a forehand cross into the Thompson deep backhand, and eventually claiming the point. Three breakpoints for Ben Shelton, who is still yet to be broken himself in this match. The last time we had a love 40 on the Thompson serve, also the 3-all game. In the second set, Jordan saved two breakpoints and then lost on the third one with a forehand return winner for Shelton. Now it seems that Thompson might be in trouble right away, actually. And this could be a really good game for Shelton. Back and down the line, he has Thompson on the back foot, but the scrambling from the Aussie is amazing. And Thompson comes up with a great forehand down the line, it seems, but Shelton just runs into it with full energy. Forehand cross, and it's a winner for a ridiculous game. I mean, this is on par with the Thompson tiebreak, really. It was just a perfect game, and as I've been saying since the very beginning of the match, like Shelton is willing to grind today. He's willing to dig deep. He's willing to get back balls. He's willing to utilize the natural speed that he has, the athleticism, and it's really getting him deep in this match. It's getting him far, and he is up a break in the deciding set. I think someone in the chat earlier said that he has 2K on Thompson. That's not amazing. It's over, says Gene. Not much confidence in Jordan turning it around, which I do get. However, last set he was able to fight until the end. Maybe he has another one. I'm looking forward to seeing Shelton under pressure in the big tournaments this year, says Sean. I think he'll thrive on it. Do you think that he's gonna be more of a regular player now? Because last year, of course, it was 4 good events and a lot of opening round losses. Seems like this year it should even out more, right? But yeah, hopefully the highlights will still be there, while the opening round losses will be just lessened to 50% or of what it was last year or something. Because last year these events like Dallas, Delray, he would just lose first round in them. whatever happens, really. And then, of course, he only had US Open, Australian Open, and then at the end of the year, Shanghai and Tokyo. That was the moment when he really sped up. But this year, I think he won't have as high peaks as he had. Slam semi. Will he get there? I mean, he could, but it would still be a good season for Shelton if he doesn't get a slam semi, but just is a much more solid top 20 player, for example. If he is a top 10 player, then that would be an awesome season, regardless of how it's done, I think. So far, the pattern from the second set is pretty much repeating itself, because after that break at 3-all, Shelton had an easy game there. And so far, he's also cruising in his next service game in the decider. Although he'll have to play a point here, and he comes up with this slice / drop shot / whatever that was. Weird idea, but anyway, still 30-15 up. Pretty sensational, the Jordan Thompson point now. I mean, the way he was coming up with all these angles, and especially sort of like not even extending his motions, but the backhand cross that he hit, it was so compact. I would say usually the backhand is more dangerous down the line. That's when it stays the lowest. But here the cross was also really good. Shelton gets to it, and then there's that whippy forehand cross from Thompson as well to give him the point. So it's 30-all, and he's not giving up. That's also a good aspect of the last two of this set and the previous one. That after the break, Thompson is definitely not just handing it to Ben on a silver platter. But yeah, missing that return, that's pretty crucial. He was trying to play it deep, he was trying to play it close to the baseline, so you can understand how he missed it and why he missed it, but he certainly could have done a better job. And will it be a game for Shelton? Yes, 5-3. Jordan Thompson about to serve to stay in the match for the very first time. Thompson at the net, but he will get past. It was a bit ambitious for sure. They're just trying to rely on the surprise factor, I suppose. I think tactically he has probably improved already, but it's hard to predict, says Sean. Somewhat. I mean, the Manarino round 3, he's still is capable of these losses, but the way he's playing today, I would love to see that Ben Shelton throughout the year. Just having a very good balance of using the weapons and also his mobility, the shape on his shots. It's been a very good performance from him. And so, Jordan Thompson has been fantastic too. I think this match is really good. Which we kind of expected. I mean, Thompson is really dangerous to mostly anyone right now. Shelton did have a pretty fabulous showing on serve against Mike Moe, who also, by the way, like is a tough opponent for someone like Shelton on paper at least, right? Because he makes you hit so many balls, but like he blew him off the court. Today he couldn't really blow his opponent off the court, but he is definitely playing smart enough to not overhit and yeah, just go for all the favorable patterns while not exactly trying to end the points on a win. But of course, the job is still not done. I mean, he will have to serve it out if Jordan Thompson can clinch the next 2 points, and he does find an ace here. So last time Ben Shelton was trying to serve out the set, it was a very tight affair. 3 breakpoints saved, some of the greatest points and rallies that we've seen in this match. So I thought maybe that could have been a let, but apparently not. So another ace for Jordan Thompson, and he will have to serve it out. Yeah, Tommy Paul only has one ATP title, Stockholm 2021. At the time, it wasn't strange that he only has one, but of course, yeah, last year the fact that he didn't get one while having a season that for a while maybe even warranted an ATP Finals spot, or at least being in contention for it. Yeah, right now him only having one is a little weird. Though. Yeah, that's true. But there are more players like this. I mean, Denis Shapovalov still has one ATP title, and I guess it's also Stockholm, isn't it? Interestingly. For some reason, Stockholm just brings out the best of some players. But yeah, Ben Shelton about to serve for the match. +1 forehand from Shelton goes wide. Definitely the right play, definitely the right direction, but he just goes for it. Goes for a bit too much there. So love 15. The next one is much better though. It's a similar shot. It's not precisely the same position, but it is a fairly similar shot. And let's see what he can cook up here. It's a pretty deep loopier forehand, and Thompson tries to take it flat, which I think in this case actually it's the spin on the Shelton forehand that made it a little trickier for him than it would be in general. Thompson would probably like to hit this one a lot more like waist high. Ooh. But he chips the return in play, and this is another wild +1 error from Shelton, second one in this game already. So there's a bit of nerves. That's another wild +1. Again, the forehand, and again it goes wide. So it's actually a breakpoint for Jordan Thompson, and we are in the same situation as in the previous set, where Shelton gets the chance to serve it out, and it actually becomes tricky. Last time he managed to get out of these issues. Let's see if he also fends Thompson off this time. But this has just been about Shelton missing all these +1s. Yeah, the serve is too good. I think he's not gonna miss that. Yeah, this was too easy. So it's deuce. Still had to play one more shot, which didn't have to be easy, given he's clearly a bit tense at the moment. Forehand dropper from Shelton, and again, it's really good. It's that same combination that he's been using the whole match. Forehand cross with a lot of whip on it, and then he plays that dropper down the line. He's played like 5, 6 of these shots, I think, and I think he's won the point every single time. Maybe like one, which didn't work out, but that combination has been very good for him. He makes an error here though, so we are back at deuce. And yeah, this is literally the second set. I mean, it was 3-all, right? A break for Shelton after going up 40 love in Thompson's return game. Quick-ish hold, quickish hold for Thompson, and now the game that will decide it, or maybe the game that will allow Thompson to get back into the match. And it's a second serve for Shelton as well. It's a really good second serve, but he makes another +1 error. This game has been pretty off for Shelton, so like fighting through it here would be massive because he's not playing well. He's hit like 5 +1 errors already. Definitely turning into a bit of an error machine the last couple of points, the last 2-3 minutes or so. But can he keep coming up with the goods on serve? Let's see. It's a good block return from Thompson, but Shelton is there with the backhand return, backhand cross. I mean, this is a low margin shot. This is actually one of these lower margin shots, but he went for it and he manages to get it done. Deuce again. Serve and volley from Shelton now, but the Thompson return is big enough and deep enough and just straight at Ben that he can't quite control it on the forehand volley. The returning from Thompson again, it's like getting even better in that possibly last game, just like in the second set. Now the return is in play again. Thompson kind of gets his chance, but it's now Shelton dictating with the forehand. Again with decent shape, decent margin. Goes for this one. Thompson is still in it though, and it's that unpleasant backhand again. And he misses the slice. This is the moment where Jordan Thompson might have lost this match. Like this was a break point he really managed to get his sort of himself going at. He managed to find his footing at. And he misses a pretty simple shot. He misses a shot he wasn't even trying to be like too aggressive with. I think maybe he could have followed up that backhand earlier to the net because Shelton was like barely getting out of it. Again, we are rallying. Shelton trying to dictate with that whippy forehand. Plays a great angle cross. Thompson finds it, but he won't get the next ball. And it's such a good point for Shelton again. I mean, I know he's missed like 5+1 shots in this game, but all the other rallies were spectacular. And I mean, he's needed that. He has really needed it, because if you miss like 5+1 shots, then you kind of have to win every single point elsewhere in order to still survive and like not be broken. And he has another match point now. He's in the point again. Thompson goes forehand down the line. Another good angle cross on the forehand from Shelton. He's dictating again, but Thompson gets back into it, gets him on the move, and Shelton finds the line. I think Thompson just decided not to even attempt to hit this ball, which was a bit weird, on match point. I think he was just willing to let it fly out of the court, but Shelton makes it. Big counter, and he manages to get it done. And honestly, as I said earlier, like I think this was a very good showing as a whole. The way he was able to rely when needed, at least, on his athleticism, on the whippy forehand all the time. Yeah, I think that was a very, very good showing from Shelton. Just maybe again exhibiting new amounts of experience, tactical play as well, alongside the serve, which is of course the big deal. Yes, Johan Shelton won. But yeah, for Jordan Thompson, of course, another very good tournament quarterfinal at the ATP level. This is more or less something that he's been like really getting used to recently, and I think he'll keep reaching these stages. I mean, he kind of didn't do much wrong other than not taking the breakpoints in the last games of the second and third set. Here, that one big opportunity, right? When he missed the slice after a long rally, and he was kind of even maybe ahead by that point. And that's probably like the main idea that's probably the main moment when Thompson actually misplayed in the last game. But his returning was suddenly getting so much better towards the end of these sets as well. Like he was stepping up as well. He was really forcing Shelton to find his way through the chips, through the scrappy defense of Jordan Thompson, if you may. And Shelton, to his credit, like for the most part, delivered despite the sudden flood influx and the sudden flooding of +1 errors in the last game. He actually delivered for the most part and was able to produce a very solid, sort of more cautious and just a more mature performance as a whole, I suppose. So yeah, I think Shelton definitely has a lot to look forward to for the rest of the event, and this is a performance that is only going to make him better in the long run as well. To me, just another very tough opponent who he kind of like not blasted his way through, but managed to hit his way through in a balanced type of way, which wasn't exactly easy for him, of course, last year against many guys like, I don't know, Yuncheng Shang twice, right? Managed to get him. Or, I don't know, I'm sure there's more examples that I'm just not coming up right now, but Laszlo Djere at Wimbledon, right? Like, these are the matches that you might think that Shelton actually could win right now. Or even Mike Moe, honestly, in the first round. Like, that's another rival that I think Shelton would have had issues with last year, but now he kind of just managed to get him get it done very quickly. Yeah, with that, I think we will end right here. Again, thank you for the subs that we got. Thank you guys for being there in the chat, and I did enjoy a lot of the conversation that we had today. Of course, Jackson was probably the main sort of star of the chat today with the anecdotes about Shelton, which we are very thankful for, and always good to see that he's as cool and humble as he seems from someone who knows him in real life. Interesting about the GPA for Shelton. You would expect that athletes usually don't have time for it even, but well, apparently he was also very competitive in this regard. And yeah, thank you guys, and we're gonna see each other for some other Talking Tennis streams. I don't know if we have any matches planned in the near future. Of course, keep tuning into that. And Miles has a lot of high pitches. Yeah, a bit late for the party. And Miles has a lot of content coming out from Dallas. So as well, you can keep watching that. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.